Have you ever seen hundreds of wild boars raised on farms in Europe? It sounds like an impossible thing in the US, because wild boars are considered the most destructive invasive species in the US. All wild boar farming is illegal. However, in Europe, there are many wild boar farms for different purposes. So, today, we invite you to explore with us how farmers raise hundreds of wild boars. Discover how farmers raise hundreds of wild boars? We all know that wild boars cause $2.5 billion in damage to the U.S. economy every year, making them one of the most hated animals in the country. For that reason, Americans are surprised and even can't believe why so many wild boars are raised in Europe. While there are many wild boar farms across Europe, the most famous is the one in Girondas, Hungary. Explore this vast farm and you will find a 6.3-hectare plot of land surrounded by hedges, hedgerows, and electric fences, which keep out any wildlife and keep the animals out. Inside there are around 40 large and small pens where the wild boars are separated by sex and age group. You can see piglets, sows, and boars here. They are raised in a semi-natural way, simulating the wild environment so that they can grow and develop quickly. Instead of feeding industrial feed like other livestock activities, the pigs on the farm mainly receive feed harvested from agricultural land right in the area. Crops such as alfalfa, corn, barley are spread by farmers on feeding areas in the barn, thus preventing and minimizing food contamination by mold. Thanks to the consumption of wild boars, many agricultural wastes are also processed and converted into pig feed, limiting waste and environmental pollution. Moreover, in pig farms, farmers also plant many kinds of trees to create shade. Besides, pigs also help plants grow stronger. Wild boars are considered typical soil ecosystem engineers. They plow the soil in the grasslands to find tubers, grubs, and acorns to eat, which is an excellent source of nutrition for wild boars. When the soil is plowed, it also creates conditions for air to circulate through the roots of plants, and their droppings also spread mycorrhizal spores, thereby helping plants to thrive. In general, raising wild boars also brings great benefits to the ecosystem. On farms, wild boars love to roll around, especially in the summer when they need to stay cool. So farmers often provide water regularly or create mud puddles for the pigs to cool off. The farm manager said that currently, their farm has nearly 500 pigs, including 69 sows and 15 boars. The farm sells an average of 200 to 250 boars and sows each year, mainly boars and sows between 2 and 3 years old. They are mainly sold to game parks across Hungary for hunting purposes. Wild boar hunting has been part of Hungary's heritage for centuries, especially in forested areas such as Békeny, Zemplén, and Mexek. It is a popular sport and a source of high-quality game meat. Before African swine fever emerged in Hungary in 2018, they were also sold abroad, mainly to Spain, Croatia, Austria, and Poland, but these exports have not recovered since then. In addition to being raised for hunting, wild boars in Hungary are also raised for food. In fact, many regions consider wild boar meat a traditional delicacy. Wild boar is considered a delicacy because of its rich flavor, similar to game meat, and its lean, nutritious ingredients. One of the most popular ways Hungarians enjoy wild boar is through a slow-cooked stew made with paprika, onions, tomatoes, and red wine. This is served with dumplings or bread. In Hungary, wild boar is highly regarded in fine dining, with many restaurants specializing in wild boar dishes. Many rural festivals feature wild boar dishes, where locals gather to cook, share, and enjoy traditional recipes. Due to high demand, the number of wild boars in Hungary is decreasing, posing many challenges for wildlife conservationists. Wild boar farming is one of the trends in conserving the population of this animal. Previously, many young farmers focused on wild boar farming, but due to restrictions in the pig farming law, the trade of wild boars has become difficult. This has led to the shrinking of breeding farms.
Have you ever wondered what Australian racehorse farms do with their culled horses? These farms have a very strict culling policy for horses that are no longer able to compete. While many farms report that they will care for old and sick horses until they die, many farms sell them to slaughterhouses to dispose of these culled pigs. So what kind of horses are culled? Let's find out now. Horse farm in Australia. Harsh culling rules. What will farmers do with the discarded horses? Australia has a long tradition of horse racing, and racehorse farms play an important role in the breeding, training, and preparation of thoroughbreds for competition. Australia is also home to some of the world's best racehorses. However, behind every horse farm, there are bright and dark sides that the owners do not want you to know. Because many racehorses are culled each year due to not meeting the demands of racing. It is also considered a harsh culling rule. According to official figures from Racing Australia, less than 1% of retired racehorses are sent to abattoir each year. However, investigations and reports from animal welfare organizations indicate that the actual number may be significantly higher. For example, a 2019 ABC investigation revealed that a Queensland abattoir killed around 300 racehorses over a 22-day period, suggesting a much larger scale of culling than officially reported. So why are racehorses culled? Join us as we explore Australian horse farms to learn more about how they operate and why horses are culled. The foundation of any successful racehorse farm lies in its breeding program. Australian farms carefully select champion stallions and mares with excellent pedigrees. Many farms breed from top breeds, such as Schnitzel and Fastnet Rock. Unlike other industries, Australian thoroughbred breeding adheres to strict natural mating rules to maintain the integrity of the bloodline. Racehorses are fed a strict diet to support muscle growth, endurance, and recovery. The food includes hay, premium grains. The horses are grazed on fresh pastures to relax, forage for food, and improve digestion. The large pastures also help the horses train better for endurance because the natural environment helps stimulate the instincts of these racehorses. After care and training, the horses are often auctioned or sold to other racehorse farms. After being auctioned, racehorses are sent to professional training facilities where they are trained on the track to increase their endurance. Horses usually start racing when they are 2 or 3 years old, participating in young horse races before aiming for major tournaments. However, not all racehorses win throughout their careers, and farms have a system of aftercare. There are many horses that are injured and cannot compete during the competition, and old horses that cannot compete will be eliminated. So, have you ever wondered what happens to these racehorses after they can no longer compete? This is a controversial issue because the cost of caring for horses that are no longer healthy enough to compete is relatively high making many farms reluctant to invest in this fee. Furthermore, if these horses are cared for until they are old and then destroyed, it will cause food waste. Therefore, many farms will sell horses that do not meet the standards in the racing barn to processing plants to process into meat products to serve the needs of use. Horses that are too injured to compete, or racehorses that are too old. Although many argue that slaughtering them is cruel, it reduces the waste of horse meat and reduces the burden on farms. In horse meat processing plants in Australia, each horse is treated humanely before being slaughtered to reduce suffering. Similar to other livestock, horses are hung on automatic conveyor belts. After slaughter, workers will remove the skin and organs. The horse meat is filtered and cut into different parts for packaging and consumption. In many countries in Europe and many states in the US, eating horse meat is considered cruel. However, in Australia, you can find horse meat sold in many food stores. It is estimated that thousands of racehorses are slaughtered in Australia every year. According to the Racehorse Protection Alliance, there are approximately 30 horse abattoirs operating in Australia, slaughtering horses for pet food and 2 processing horse meat for human consumption. This suggests that the number of racehorses culled each year could be in the thousands. And consuming horse meat also helps reduce meat waste.
Have you ever seen a farm model that operates without any costs? It sounds unbelievable, right? But in fact, many farmers have successfully applied a model that combines raising cows, raising ducks, and growing crops, saving a lot of costs. If you don't believe it, watch this video to find out how farmers run their farms. You can see here is a farm raising ducks for eggs. They are foraging for earthworms in the soil. It seems that these ducks really like to eat worms. So, how to raise these earthworms for duck food? The first step to earthworm composting is livestock manure, which farmers collect from cow sheds. This can be from family farms or neighboring farms. On modern farms, barn cleaning is done by automated robots or specialized equipment. On smaller farms, farmers often collect cow manure manually. Cow manure is collected in a designated area to prepare for further processing. The cow manure is collected and left to decompose for several days, which reduces its heat and ammonia content, which can be harmful to earthworms. The manure is mixed with other organic materials such as straw, leaves, or kitchen waste to form a balanced substrate. Farmers create worm beds using wooden boxes, pits, or concrete cages with proper drainage. The beds can be supplemented with bedding materials such as shredded newspaper, dry leaves, or coconut coir to maintain moisture. Once the cow manure has decomposed, farmers introduce worms into the beds, which consume the organic matter and excrete nutrient-rich waste. Each bed needs to maintain a humidity level of around 60 to 70% to ensure optimal worm activity. The worms will decompose the cow manure into high-quality compost in about 30 to 45 days. Compost made from earthworms is rich in nutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which are beneficial to plants. This type of compost is applied directly to vegetable or food crop farms, helping to optimize plant growth. It also provides natural nutrients without the need for chemical fertilizers, thereby reducing organic waste and preventing pollution. When the compost is dark and fluffy, it is harvested and used to enrich the soil for growing plants. The worms are separated and used as feed for farm animals, typically ducks. Earthworms are considered an excellent source of protein, containing about 60 to 70% protein along with essential amino acids that help ducks grow optimally and improve meat quality. Farmers say that ducks consuming earthworms daily will improve their growth and muscle development, increase egg production in laying ducks, and enhance immunity and digestion. Furthermore, the method of combining earthworm farming with duck farming helps farmers save on commercial feed costs, thereby increasing their income. It also creates a self-sustaining ecosystem, in which cow dung and duck manure are used to feed worms and worms are used to feed ducks. In addition to using earthworms to feed ducks, farmers also raise worms as feed for chickens. Commonly raised worms are red earthworms, African earthworms, and Indian greenworms. They not only have the ability to reproduce quickly and have high nutritional value, but are also larger in size and adapt easily to the rearing environment. Currently, earthworm farming for poultry is often done on small-scale or private farms and has not been expanded to large-scale farms. However, agricultural experts also affirm that this is an environmentally friendly, cost-saving, and nutritious solution for poultry farming. It also helps to process large amounts of cow manure on farms and reduce the pressure from the livestock industry on the environment and ecosystem. Over the past 2 decades, concerns about the impact of modern agriculture on land, water, and resources have caused many environmental challenges. So people are now moving towards sustainable farming practices. In particular, the aquaponics model is considered a highly efficient farming solution, solving many challenges. By using less water than conventional farming, reducing the need for synthetic fertilizers, and minimizing waste, aquaponics promises to produce food without harming our environment. So, what is aquaponics and how does it work? Let's explore it with us now. Aquaponics is a unique farming method that combines aquaculture, the method of raising fish, with hydroponics and growing plants in a soil-free environment. In an aquaponics system, fish and plants are raised together in a symbiotic environment, and they benefit from this combined model. The fish produce waste, which is converted into nutrients that the plants can absorb. In return, the plants filter and clean the water, creating a healthy environment for the fish. This closed-loop system is highly efficient, uses significantly less water than other farming methods, and virtually eliminates the need for chemical fertilizers. Today, aquaponics is practiced all over the world, from small-scale home gardens to large commercial farms. At first glance, aquaponics farms may seem like a complex system, but in reality, the way they work is very simple. They integrate many different components and biological processes to create a sustainable ecosystem. You can see that fish are growing very well in tanks. Their waste is mainly in the form of ammonia. In an aquaponics system, this waste is the starting point of a nutrient cycle that is beneficial to the plants. Beneficial bacteria convert toxic ammonia waste into less toxic nitrates, a process called nitrification. The plants are mainly green vegetables that have a relatively short growing period. Plants absorb nitrates and other nutrients from the water through their roots. As the plants absorb these nutrients, they clean and filter the water, which is then recirculated back into the fish tank. This nutrient uptake supports plant growth and productivity, allowing for a wide variety of crops to be grown. Many aquaponics farms grow a variety of fruits and vegetables, depending on the design of the system and the environmental conditions. Exploring the aquaponics model, you will see that the common components in this system are fish tanks, vegetable growing racks, and water circulation systems. There are also devices that control light, temperature, and humidity, creating a favorable environment for plants and fish to grow together. The aquaponics model has many advantages that make it an attractive choice for sustainable agriculture. These benefits include saving resources and increasing productivity, suitable for many different conditions and regions. It can also be applied from home garden models to commercial farms. One of the most important benefits of aquaponics is sustainability, especially in terms of water conservation and waste reduction. Traditional farming methods can be water-intensive, leading to waste. In contrast, aquaponics is designed to recycle water efficiently. Many commercial farms have revealed that aquaponics systems can produce higher yields than traditional farming methods. By raising fish and growing plants at the same time, the system offers a dual yield. It allows for the production of fresh vegetables and protein-rich fish from the same system, maximizing output from a given space. Plants grown in an aquaponic system typically grow faster and more vigorously due to the constant supply of nutrients from fish waste. This results in higher crop yields and shorter growth cycles, allowing for more productive harvests. Furthermore, the closed environment of an aquaponic system also allows for easy pest control without the need for chemical pesticides. Beneficial insects or manual methods can be used to remove pests. In addition to the benefits, designing an aquaponics model also brings challenges to farmers with limited financial resources. Because the cost of investment in equipment and materials is not small, it is difficult for farmers with limited finances to invest. Moreover, to operate the aquaponics model effectively, farmers need to understand the balance of fish, bacteria, and plants, because this system operates according to biological balance and bacterial activity. If they have knowledge, farmers will know how to choose the right type of plants and fish for the environment in the aquaponics system. To keep the system running efficiently and sustainably, farmers also regularly maintain it to avoid equipment breakdowns and extend its lifespan. The maintenance process also helps reduce equipment replacement costs, benefiting farmers. Have you ever wondered how MSG crystals, a familiar spice in everyday meals, are produced? You will surely be surprised to know that the raw material to create this unique spice is cassava root. From vast cassava farms, through modern manufacturing processes, and finally to the MSG packets in your kitchen, it's been a fascinating journey. Join me as I explore the cassava farms of Thailand and journey to MSG factories. The journey of MSG begins with large cassava farms. Here, Thai farmers will choose quality cassava varieties that are suitable for the soil type to increase productivity. For example, Rayong 9 cassava is suitable for loose sandy soil, Kasetsart 72 cassava is suitable for clay soil, and Hoai Bong 80 cassava is suitable for loose soil. Each year, Thailand produces an average of more than 20 million tons of cassava, becoming the second largest producer in the world, and exporting 70% of its output abroad. Cassava has brought high income to farmers, but the process of growing cassava is not easy. Before planting, farmers must prepare the land and seedlings. Healthy cassava plants, 10 to 12 months old, will be selected as seedlings. Previously, farmers had to plant cassava manually. Each seedling had about 5 to 7 buds for the plant to grow. First, people had to spray pesticides and root stimulants on the seedlings. Nowadays, most farms use cassava planting machines to make this process faster and more efficient. Cassava plants will be planted vertically on the bed, keeping a depth of about 10 to 15 centimeters. The distance between plants must be at least 80 to 100 centimeters. A special note is that the planting bed must be narrow and sharp. because about 4 to 5 months after planting, the cassava tubers will develop and risk emerging from the ground. After planting, large cassava fields are often watered with a drip system, both ensuring the right amount of water for the plants and saving time. In the first 1 to 3 months, farmers will water every 2 to 3 days. After that, just water once a week, each time for 2 to 4 hours. After about 8 to 12 months of planting and care, the ivory white cassava tubers are ready to harvest. Before starting to harvest, farmers will stop watering for 1 month to ensure the soil is dry, helping to increase productivity, and the cassava tubers produce a lot of starch at the right rate. On large farms, the use of cassava harvesting machines is becoming more popular. First, farmers will cut the entire cassava stem about 20 centimeters from the ground. These cassava stems will be kept as seedlings for the next crop. They then use modern cassava harvesting machines, moving along the rows to harvest. After harvesting, fresh cassava roots must be brought to the factory within 2 days to avoid damage and reduce starch content. The secret to getting quality cassava roots is to harvest around December to March of the following year, when cassava has a high starch content. Harvesting is usually not done around April to June because the plants develop young leaves and have little starch. From the lush green farms, cassava is transported to the factory, where the complex MSG production process begins. The largest MSG factory in Thailand is currently Ajinomoto. The cassava roots are crushed and extracted to obtain starch. First, the cassava starch and molasses are extracted into glucose and put into a fermentation tank. Then, fermenting bacteria are added. These bacteria consume the glucose, releasing glutamic acid. Through neutralization, the glutamic acid is converted into a solution containing MSG. The mixture is then decolorized and filtered, resulting in a pure MSG solution. Next, the solution is put into an evaporator to obtain solid crystals. During the MSG production process, modern equipment helps optimize the process, controlling the temperature, humidity, and fermentation time precisely. Finally, the crystals are dried to create the final product, MSG. These products will then be packaged and distributed to the market. MSG is a flavor-rich seasoning known as the purest form of umami. It is widely used in the food industry to enhance flavor. In particular, MSG can partially replace salt, reducing sodium intake by up to 1/3. Initially, MSG was mainly associated with Asian cuisine, but it is now used worldwide to add a delicious flavor to dishes. Currently, Asia supplies about 93% of the world's MSG production, including Thailand and other countries such as China, Indonesia, Vietnam, and Taiwan. Cassava cultivation to supply MSG processing factories has brought a stable income to millions of Thai farmers, while contributing to the development of the national economy. Millions of tons of MSG are produced annually to meet domestic consumption and export demand. In addition, byproducts from the process of harvesting and processing cassava into MSG also have many benefits. Farmers can use these substances to fertilize crops, creating a beneficial cycle.
Do you believe that there are leaves in this world that are worth up to $4,000? It sounds crazy, but it is true. So, why is a leaf so valuable? And if farmers grow this plant, will they become millionaires? Let's discover the interesting secrets behind these $1,000 leaves. If you think gardening is only associated with food crops or vegetables, you are wrong. In addition to common plants, there is a special type of plant, ornamental leaves. These plants not only beautify the space, but also have very high economic value. So, which leaf is worth $1,000? Monstera, philodendron, anthurium, or alocasia all possess unique, unusual leaves with shapes and colors that you will not find on any other plant. Therefore, these leaves become extremely valuable assets, with prices up to thousands of dollars just because of their rarity and amazing beauty. So, why are these leaves so valuable? They are not only beautiful, but also extremely rare. The propagation of these mutant leaf bonsai is extremely difficult, requiring meticulousness and high techniques. In particular, mutant leaves with strange colors and shapes will attract the attention of sophisticated bonsai players. Such a leaf can cost from several hundred to several $1,000s depending on its rarity and specialness. Not only that, social networks also contribute to increasing the fever about the value of bonsai. Beautiful bonsai photos are widely shared on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook, making many people crave to own these unique bonsai, creating an expensive bonsai market globally. In 2021, a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma tree was sold for up to $19,297 at a famous auction in New Zealand. This is just one of many examples of the huge price of bonsai. With such valuable plants, why doesn't everyone grow them to make money? Oh no, it's not easy to propagate these difficult plants. These ornamental plants originate from the tropics and require very strict care conditions. Some plants can only be propagated by cuttings or tissue culture in the laboratory. For plants to grow, they need a special environment with the right temperature, humidity, and light. Otherwise, they will not be able to root or grow naturally. Farmers have to invest in specialized equipment, air conditioning systems, humidity, and light to create high-value bonsai. Even crossbreeding new varieties can take 2 to 5 years to produce the desired results. However, farmers in Southeast Asia, where the tropical climate is favorable, have begun to develop this $1,000 bonsai growing profession. They not only crossbreed native varieties, but also import trees from Central and South America for propagation, bringing high economic value. With flexible nursery areas ranging from small to large, even downtown areas can grow bonsai. Therefore, this bonsai growing profession is no longer limited to the countryside, but can develop right in the city center. And now we come to the most interesting part, the value of the leaves. Can a single leaf cost up to $4,000? It sounds like a fairy tale, but in reality, ornamental leaves like Monstera can cost between $2,000 and $4,000 each. That's why people call farmers counting leaves to make money. And of course, no one buys a single leaf. Instead, they buy the whole plant with many other leaves. Now you can calculate the value of a $1,000 ornamental plant. So, who is willing to spend thousands of dollars just to own a leaf? The answer is definitely yes. Those are bonsai enthusiasts who like to collect or use them to decorate their interiors, creating highlights for their living spaces. The bonsai market is expanding, especially in big cities and countries that love green trees. The United States or Europe are typical examples of markets that are thirsty for beautiful bonsai. Every year, the United States can import bonsai worth up to several $billion, including leaf bonsai. Plants such as Monstera, fiddle-leaf fig, philodendron are strongly favored and often appear in modern living spaces. With the growing trend of loving green trees, the bonsai growing profession promises to develop strongly in the future. Farmers can get rich from bonsai growing, not only supplying the domestic market, but also exporting to the world. However, not everyone can do this job because the key factor is patience and large investment. Do you know how the pistachio products we use every day are processed? It is a very interesting process, and only those in the industry know. To produce tons of pistachios, farmers and processing workers have worked very hard. Right now, let's explore with us the process of harvesting and processing millions of tons of pistachios. The United States is now the world's largest producer of nuts, producing millions of tons each year. Most of this is concentrated in California, where farmers are dedicating more land to growing them. Of course, farmers will only invest in growing crops that generate economic value. And as expected, pistachios generated nearly $3 billion in profits in 2023 for California. And over the past decade, the United States has surpassed Iran to become the world's leading nut exporter. In California, farmers usually harvest pistachios between mid-August and the first week of September, when the nuts begin to turn pink or red. Harvesting at the right time is important to avoid the nuts falling to the ground, causing damage and reducing the quality of the product. On large commercial farms, farmers use mechanical shakers to shake the trees, causing the nuts to fall onto tarps that have been placed at the base of the trees. This method is considered safer and quicker, but is usually used on farms with long-standing chestnut trees. On smaller farms or with young chestnut trees, farmers often harvest by hand to avoid damaging the trees. All pistachios after being harvested need to be processed immediately to ensure quality. They are transported to the processing facility quickly. At the vast factories in California, you can see tons of pistachios moving on conveyor belts, where they are inspected, graded, roasted, and packaged before being shipped to stores, grocery stores worldwide. Inside the factory, the pistachios are shelled within 24 hours, as leaving them too long can stain the shell and damage the nuts. Some processors also use water jet shellers, which spray high-pressure water to gently remove the shells without damaging the underlying shell. Once shelled, the pistachios have a high moisture content and need to be dried quickly to avoid spoilage, with the goal of reducing the moisture content to around 5 to 7% to help preserve the nut's texture, flavor, and shelf life. All pistachios after being harvested need to be processed immediately to ensure quality. They are transported to the processing facility quickly. At the vast factories in California, you can see tons of pistachios moving on conveyor belts, where they are inspected, graded, roasted, and packaged before being shipped to stores, grocery stores worldwide. Inside the factory, the pistachios are shelled within 24 hours, as leaving them too long can stain the shell and damage the nuts. Some processors also use water jet shellers, which spray high-pressure water to gently remove the shells without damaging the underlying shell. Once shelled, the pistachios have a high moisture content and need to be dried quickly to avoid spoilage, with the goal of reducing the moisture content to around 5 to 7% to help preserve the nut's texture, flavor, and shelf life. After the drying process, pistachios are sorted by placing them in a large tank of water to test their buoyancy. Quality nuts usually sink to the bottom, while poor quality nuts float to the top and are discarded. Only high quality nuts are guaranteed to be sent to market. The process of processing pistachios does not stop here. They go through further processing steps such as dry roasting or adding other flavors such as garlic, chili to diversify the product. Some lines also carry out the process of shelling pistachios and packaging the shell-less nuts. In general, processing factories often produce pistachio products according to customer requirements and market demand. final step in the processing is packaging. The pistachios are packaged according to the exact weight of each gram. The packaging must be kept sealed to prevent the nuts from being exposed to air, which will reduce the quality of the pistachios. After the processing, the pistachio products are transported to different consumption areas or export markets. The United States is currently the world's largest exporter of pistachios, with exports reaching a record 390,000 tons last year, according for 70% of global exports. China is the largest importer of pistachios in the United States, especially at the end of the year in preparation for the Lunar New Year. Some Asian countries also have the custom of celebrating the Lunar New Year, and the demand for pistachios and other nuts has also skyrocketed. This has created conditions for American pistachio products to be consumed quickly. The final step in the processing is packaging. The pistachios are packaged according to the exact weight of each gram. The packaging must be kept sealed to prevent the nuts from being exposed to air, which will reduce the quality of the pistachios. After the processing, the pistachio products are transported to different consumption areas or export markets. The United States is currently the world's largest exporter of pistachios, with exports reaching a record 390,000 tons last year, according for 70% of global exports. China is the largest importer of pistachios in the United States, especially at the end of the year in preparation for the Lunar New Year. Some Asian countries also have the custom of celebrating the Lunar New Year, and the demand for pistachios and other nuts has also skyrocketed. This has created conditions for American pistachio products to be consumed quickly.